Hello everybody and welcome to our show, The Feminine in Integral, where you will find inspiration and to get curious about the integral worldview. Here we are integrating the feminine perspective into what has started as a masculine way of dealing with life. We intend to support the embodiment of what was given by Ken Wilber as a theory of everything. And with other words, we want to bring head stuff into everyday life. And so, welcome again. I am Heidi. I'm an integral practitioner for almost 20 years, and I'm the founder of Paradiso Integrale and the Power of Relationship. This is a virtual and a physical space in beautiful Italy, where I support people in their growing up and in their waking up by holding retreats and do coaching and courses. And I have here with me Raquel Torrent from Spain. She is psychologist and psychotherapist, and she is a board member of Integral Europe and the founder of the Spanish Integral Association, where for more than 11 years she is creating integral conferences in Spain. Hello, Raquel.
Hello, good morning to you and everyone and my colleagues. Good morning.
Good morning. So in our team, we have also Hanna Huendorf. She's from Germany and she is an integral practitioner and the board member of the German Integral Association, which is called Integrales Forum. She has lived in a Tibetan spiritual community, Scotland, for 18 years, and now she is doing meditation practices and teachings all over Germany. And for me, she is a living example of the femininity in her life. Hello, Raquel.
No, Hanna.
Hanna, excuse me. Hanna. I get you mixed up.
Yeah, so much fun.
This is the feminine too.
The feminine team, because now we come to masculine. We have invited as a special guest today Bence Ganti.
Hello, everyone.
Are you hearing? Can you hear us?
Yes. Hello, hello, hello.
He is a psychotherapist and he is the founder of the Hungarian Integral Academy, and he is the creator of what is called the flow therapy. Today our topic is the WESPACE in Hungary. And that means the WESPACE which Bence and his team have created in the first European Integral Conference in Budapest, which has taken place in the beginning of May. So we wanted to know how this worked, because in our experience, we have already done 2 episodes about that, where we spoke about this experience we had in the conference. It was so amazing. We really felt this WESPACE. And, you know, we wanted to ask the originator how he did that. And obviously he's not a woman, but as you know, female and feminine and male and masculine, it's not the same. We are talking about the energies, and of course men can have feminine energy and women can have masculine energy. So Bence, I would like to ask you first, in which way do you think that the feminine was present in the conference, and in which way is it also present in your work?
Yes, the feminine, as you said, is a part of each human being. And when we come to personality development, then men has to develop their feminine side, which means that they have to give up wanting to achieve something and have to give up, control, and need to arrive to the moment, the ability to dwell in the present, and have to develop their skills in connecting to others. So the female genius is connecting, nurturing, holding, and being sensitively aware what's going on in other people, and in a good moments of the females, good moments, bad moments, the good moments, sensitively following that. And every man has that capacity, of course, but men are normally, not supported to live their feminine part in the normal culture. And personally, I have went through years of psychotherapy, but psychotherapy is a somewhat outdated term. It presupposes that it comes from an era 100 years ago when normality was the ceiling of development. The normal Stadtbürger, the normal citizen, was the peak of development, peak of evolution. The atheist, rational, person, and those people who were pathological, fallen out of normality, had mental disorders, were offered treatment to get back to normal, and this was called psychotherapy. Hence, therapy. Therapy suggests there's something wrong, and we heal you, we cure you, so you are okay. But since the 60s, we have, discovered that that normality is not the ceiling of development, but the halfway up in a developmental evolutionary scale. Exactly halfway. It's not even 3/4, or 90%. The ceiling is half. So with that realization came that there is a tremendous, human potential that lies, ahead of us as a possibility to open up in ourselves, both for men and for women. And kind of the first phase of that potential is a personal opening that was first brought in and mastered by Maslow and Rogers, self-realization, arriving to the moment, to being, to sensitivity, to refined connection and all that, authentic self-expression, and that leads to an even, further deepening, which is spirituality, and finally full spiritual awakening, enlightenment, moksha, liberation, non-dual realization, etc., etc. So suddenly, psychotherapy, the term remained, but what we do and what you want to, aim, changed completely. Because psychotherapy is the master techniques of how to open a person, how to get people out from the character armor, from the closed down self. And the same techniques are to be applied for a normal person to open up to self-realization, spirituality. And the same technique, are applied for neurotic people to open up and restructure things to get back to normal. So paradoxically, today when you say Bence is a psychotherapist, and then you are actually saying that Bence is a guy who is helping normal people to open up towards self-realization and spirituality. And of course, what makes us integral psychotherapists, that we have to know also the pathological side, neurosis, personality disorder, and psychosis, and to be able to work in the full spectrum, from the disorders to normality, and from normality to self-realization, from self-realization to spiritual realization. Of course, we cannot be at the same time a psychiatrist, psychotherapist, and spiritual guru and enlightened master who pulls up beings, to enlightenment instantly, like in India. But we can have certain characteristic of those, at least to some extent. We have a center of gravity somewhere in our professional life. And what is most important, we are informed about the whole scale, and we see where people are and at what they need. So either I can do it for them, or I can do it partly for them and refer to some other professionals or gurus, or work in a team. So, and I was put through that process myself. So the reason I could, facilitate this conference and actually envision and create this conference so that it became, loaded with feminine qualities too, besides the male qualities, is also because I went through this process, and I had two personal mentors for 6 years without a break, who kind of worked very hard on opening me up, and my closed down defensive self was like boom, melted and opened. It doesn't mean that I'm all the time just open and loving, I'm swinging between modes of more closeness and more openness. But I think I have a capacity to open easily and to hold people and be in the feminine mode. So that's kind of the personal energetical root of it. And
thank you. And I find it very, very interesting what you are talking about psychotherapy, and I think we should do an extra talk about that. How is the difference between normal psychotherapy and integral psychotherapy? It is an abyss, because before, people who were more advanced and they were not normal, as you said, they were considered pathological, and the psychotherapy tried to bring them back into normality. And so integral psychotherapy does the distinction about the levels of development, and that you don't, when you are above normality, it doesn't mean that you're a psychopath, So
totally.
It's very, very interesting. So I would like to give the word to our two girls here, and for questions to Bence.
Hello, Bence. Good morning.
Hello, Raquel.
I would like to ask you about this team consciousness that you so beautifully created in Hungary, in the Budapest conference. Because the wonderful, wonderful thing that I saw in the WE-Space was that the success of the conference was precisely because you were able to create a very, very important, deep and connected WE-Space with your team, among your team, your core team of the Integral Conference, Dennis and Hanna and all that, and then the volunteer work that was absolutely fantastic. So tell us more about this, please.
Yes, it's so important that you just pointed to, and that's the key, actually, that's the key, that our team were trained in this, were put through 3 years of experiential psychotherapeutical opening, went through many, dozens of hours, if not hundreds, of this kind of work. So they transformed, they changed. So I consciously created a team, and I actually, I like to work with such teams who understand Integral and also went through the transformational process. Integral Academy is a transformational school that has, like the conference, same, Integral Academy has both sides. So when the team is like that, and the message is how people are together while they are doing anything, right? So while we are talking about Integral and while we are organizing a conference, how are we together? What's the relational feel in the room? That's the feminine side, of course, right? The nonverbal side. So the team was able to, to have a, we call it integral atmosphere, integral style, and then when people came to the conference, felt that. So they, their nonverbal self understood that, okay, so this is the way here to be. And also the volunteer team, who are partly from our trained circle and partly not, outsiders come to volunteer, they also felt it. and it's not a difficult thing. It's just you know, what's in the air. So what are the kind of rule of the games here? People easily adjust to that. So I think like a rippling effect from the core team,
Yes.
you know, to the larger audience, it just rippled, and it always happens. I have to say that since we are doing this Integral Academy job and associated, you know, events, it just always happens. So we have a relaxed trust that that we can kind of create this. But this can be created only from human to human. That's why I don't believe in technicalized courses, in only online courses. Online is a great help. Like now we can, you know, share here, but sooner or later we need to meet if we want to, you know, transform and create a community. So it's between humans to humans, aura to aura, heart to heart, body to body, how this can spread. So I think that's one of the keys how it was created in the Budapest conference. And of course the other key is very important also, that we put a lot of exercise, you know, work every day for 3 hours in the afternoon. So within 24 hours, 3 hours was guaranteed for almost all the participants to be in this opening, therapeutical opening, nonverbal female mode. And we have different, you know, facilitators for that, 8 to 10 run parallel in different rooms. But if we wouldn't have that, the team's vibes wouldn't have been enough. So the team's vibe was kind of a basic layer of this, and putting people through exercises each day was the kind of other ingredient in the soup that made it tasty.
I would like to jump in here. As I did one of these workshops, I really felt the impact of the prepared field. You know, we did during the morning and in the time before the conference. People were so attentive. People were so open to receive and to experience what we could give them. It was really a very great thing.
Yes, yes, it was. It could be felt. There was such a consciousness of the volunteers and the core team that's why everything was kind of in place. You know, it was kind of correct, perfect, you know, like well done, and with a lot of love and heart at the same time. So
yeah. But Bence, you are talking about, I just want to get it a little bit together, it's about the field you have created, and the field is contagious. So as soon as enough number of people are in this field, some others come in, they are immediately, let's say, absorbed into the field and created together with the people who are already in it. This is really, it seems to be a normal thing, you know.
Exactly, yeah, because this is in people, so we are not doing something that is distant from human nature. This is the good side of human nature. Basically, we are exercising here the good side of human nature, you know. And in ordinary, you know, circumstances, people exercise something else, you know. And in these spaces, we simply switch to the other side of human nature. And everybody loves it, you know. And there are some dynamics. Some people get hurt because they don't get enough attention or so. But the dynamics happen within the frame of this larger field of goodness. That's why usually dynamics doesn't blow up the scene here, but they kind of like emerge and disperse, and the container remains healthy, loaded with goodness, excitement, inspiration, and connectedness. And
I still wanted to say what was so important, what I saw, what you did. You were there almost always on the stage, and then you led your own workshops and everything. You were the holding space. You created the container. You had helpers, but to see you there in this relaxed mood, this was transmitting to everybody the the being relaxed themselves, you know. It was just so a difference to normal conference when people say, oh, and now we have to do that and then that and that, blah, blah. You know, you feel their tension, and you didn't have emanation of that. You had the emanation of, you know.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I would like to also butt in here, Bence. Because I was in the core team, and I came on the team 6 months before the conference, and we had actually met at the German conference, and we had this, like you said, heart-to-heart, soul-to-soul, body-to-body contact. And I remember when I came on, it was the team at that point, it consisted entirely of men, and you were just talking about web shop and all like technical things, and I was very bored. And then you said that you actually pulled me on the team because I'm a woman and because I'm a bit older. I still remember that, and and then that ended up being exactly my role, that I was kind of the mother. For in the end, I had so many beautiful, beautiful children, you know, kind of mothering, holding, making sure people don't drop out of the net. That was that ended up my role, apart from contributing or developing the content. So that was a very, very beautiful process, and I can see in retrospect that that was very consciously done that way. And then after a while, more women joined, so it was a very balanced team, very, very beautiful team. Yes, I would also today I would also like to talk about, I mean, this was the preparation that was very well done, but also then the actual conference, the way the flow was designed and then also allowed to happen spontaneously was very beautiful. From the handing over ritual and the goulash party and the constellation was very, very important joining elements, joining the input from other speakers. So that's why really I wanted to have you in on this conversation very much.
As you said, it's true that I trusted you as a woman and as an elder, and I felt that we needed this energy, you know, and we need the workforce too. So you were actually applying that I have hours to offer daily to work, you know. So when you do a project that you need to build up, you know, that's what you need. But who should be the workforce? I'm very careful about it, very careful, you know. So because I find this female aspect primal. So it's kind of the feel of the field, how we spend the time together, determines the thoughts that we have in the mind. Emotion is prior to thoughts, or emotional, you know, atmosphere determines thoughts. It is known in psychology that thinking is hormone determined. So in a different hormonal state, different thoughts appear in your mind. When you are angry, you can't remember the good aspect of the other, you know, and all your thoughts reinforce the anger feeling and that hormone state. And when you go to love, you know, other hormones, you know, other thoughts. So I know this, and that's why it's important that the team has to have people who are able to hold, you know, the goodness vibes, and that will, you know, reinforce those kind of thoughts that will go with. So that's one thing I wanted to reflect, and I felt, you know, your loving nature and your wisdom that grows with age. You are not very old, but older than us, you know, younger, so more experienced, and a lot of experience from the monastery, which is also, you know, important. And few people have that. Many say meditation, yes, but I respect tremendously if people spend time in monasteries, because that's a deeper letting go, deeper surrender, and letting go and surrender ripens, you know, those qualities that we are looking for. Now, the other thing I wanted to say that in the conference, we are now talking about the feminine part, but the masculine part has to be also clear, because if so, there should be reason and aim that kind of organize people. If there is no reason and aim, just goodness, love, holding, then it becomes boring for people after they filled themselves. So you fill up with the connection, goodness, love, and you okay, and now what? You know? And then you want to do something. So kind of, and kind of that's the male side. So people had roles, you know. Volunteers had, this is your job, this is your job, that's what you have to do. So the have to do and the relaxedness and connectedness kind of were together. And that's for us that what integral means, you know, in the sense of female-male integration. It's not just male, not just female, but kind of we are, you know, targeting and looking for the playful, healthy, joyful balance of the two.
Yeah, this certainly you have realized in the conference, and there were also the talks in the morning. No, there were some about really theoretical stuff, you know, and yeah. For some people this is very inspiring. For others, it's not so much. But when you have this setting around of feeling well, you might be able to listen to the theory in a different way and understand in a different way when you are opened up. Instead of when you go, oh, theories, you know. Yeah, would you like to, Bence, to talk a little bit about these rituals you did, how they came into your mind? I especially think about the European Constellation, which was really a big surprise for me, and how it in your idea.
Above all, Bence, the different aspects of the European Constellation, I would love that you talk about that, you know, because it was not only the European Constellation one aspect, but you put several aspects that they were very nice, gathered together and, you know, like threaded.
Yeah.
So tell us about this, please.
Yeah, so I felt that we should use the chance of Europeans coming together to do some real spiritual, you know, experiential work with that. And it's a chance. I mean, it's so rare that actually so many Europeans are together for a spiritual reason, right? They can be together for discussing how to sell, you know, cars and stuff like that, international conferences, but for soul exercise, it's a precious chance, and that's one layer. The other layer, that what's there in the field, the whole flow constellation concept is nothing else but playing out with our bodies and words, articulate what's there in the field that is unspoken, that is true, and that actually moves us. We just don't talk about it because nobody asks, and there is no chance. In these spaces, we create a space and the chance to bring out, you know, what's half consciously or subconsciously, you know, determines us and moves us. So this is a principle, and I put this together with Europeans coming together. So who are we Europeans? You know, what connects us? What's there in the field that we carry but never had a chance to speak out? So basically this is creating truth space. When truth comes out, manifests, can be said, can be shown. So that's what psychotherapists do. So psychotherapist is the legal person to create truth in the society. He is entitled and paid and allowed to facilitate people tell the truth, you know, and express the truth. And what is truth in this sense? How they really feel and think. So it's not kind of some impersonal truth, but the very personal. That means very alive, real truth. So let's put it together with Europe and explore who are we Europeans, and also let's explore how can we get into unity. How can we get into the higher values that we want to experience, that comes from integral and also from spirituality: love, unity, connectedness. How can we arrive there? Through the differences. Integral means that you can put people into unity while they are keeping their unique nature. In pre-modernity, you try to unite by following a pre-given form, and if everybody tries to be that one single form, that's unity, because everybody is the same, right? Modernity says, you know, screw it. We don't want to get united. My separate self-sense is determined if I'm different. So we debate. This is my view. This is your view. Debate, science. You know, there is no rest. Just always, you know, a rat race of debating values. In postmodernity, we arrive again to accepting all the different views without racing, and resting together in the difference. And in integral, we can weave that together into a unity, actually, a higher unity. I call it multicolored unity. A unity when everybody is a different color. So this was what basically we aimed in this constellation. And that's why the process was built up in 4 phases. The first, actually, I think maybe only 3 we had time for, but the first phase was it was called Finding Your Nation. So everybody was in the room, you know, mingled, different nations, and they had to start to speak their own languages. So suddenly 20 or 25 languages started to speak, la la la. Total chaos. It was also named the Babylon process. So you are in Babylon, total chaos of, you know, here's this nice guy who don't understand the clue. And then you had to find your own nation. So you had to find who is speaking the same language in this, you know, room of maybe 300 people were there at that night, you know. So the German-speaking find each other, the Hungarians find it, and they have to form nation groups. So at the end of this phase, you know, there were different groups, and each group was a nation. They have found them. So it was very funny, and there was a lot of laughter and, you know, joking.
That was very cool.
And the Germans came together. And the Iberians, you know, were in a group, and I remember Raquel and Paula and other Iberians, and then the Iberians. So let's now form Portugal and Spain.
Yeah.
The Germans, you know, but the Austrians and then Swiss and then German. Okay, guys, you need to solve the problems. You know, figure out who is who. So at the end, we
even sorted ourselves.
All those groups. And then was the country process.
Regions. Sorry. Yeah. You carry on.
Even did the regions. Yes.
Yeah.
I love it all.
Because I'm from Kiel, so I was very near the Danish people, and the Bavarians were right at the other end with the Austrians. So there's
very north, very south.
Delicacy.
Also, Bence, I saw something very interesting there in that, you know, getting together process, because I finally saw that there was one person from Pakistan and one person from India, and they were together. They were very together. They were not separated. They mingled like if they were just one nation, let's say. And it's impressive, because the reality is that Pakistan and India have been, you know, historically kind of not very close. Yeah. So in that process, it was beautiful, because they came together, people to people, you know, shoulder by shoulder. It was beautiful. Like if they were just one part of the world, that they got together.
And we should say that this was an European conference, but there were also the possibility for people outside of Europe to come, and there were some Americans too, and Australia, and I think that was it.
New Zealand.
New Zealand, yeah. But it mainly the crowd
Canada.
were Europeans.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. So what happened then is that the same principle goes for Europe Constellation that goes for a group of 12 people in a workshop, or that goes for one person on a one-on-one session. So there is one kind of master template of how to open people, or maybe there are more, but there is one that I use and believe in and usually works. And this was here too. First, you need to be authentic, personal self. Express who you are and how you are, letting go all restrictions, all censura, censorship, off, defenses off, just open as you are. And in this sense, countries are the entities. So that's why, we created the country process. That was the next step. So Germans, there you are. So who are you Germans, and who are you Hungarians, and who are you Spanish, who are you, Danish, etc. And I gave 4 questions to them to facilitate this, to get into an emotionally touched, authentic sharing space of who are you as German, Hungarian, Danish, Spanish, etc. And that was what was last time when you were touched by being your country member. So when were you ashamed by being a German last time? When they say, oh, fuck Germans, it's very painful for a German, for a Hungarian, for any country member, Go there, experience, remember, And when were you proud of your country? Because your country did something great, internally, or because externally they praise your country because it did some great thing. I'm really proud. Wow, the bright side of Hungarian, And the other, oh my God, the shameful of being Hungarian. And what was the peak experience with your country last time? It could be out of the proud and shame box, maybe another, modality or aspect, but peak experience. Wow. My peak experience was when I arrived with the flight back from America in April, and smelling, the nature, the moist, fresh spring emanation of fields and forest. That was like a complete big experience. It can be as simple as that, just may it be true and authentic. So, and people were sharing. So the mic went through systematically each group, and each country shared all these different experiences. And then the next phase was bringing these people into a unitive experience, because now they became authentic. Of course, as much as it can be done within such a short process with so many people, but to a certain level they were more authentic, more open, more emotionally true, and then bringing them together. That was called the universal soul, finding the soul of Europe process. And it's always like that. You cannot bring people to unity before you don't. You have to facilitate them being themselves, and felt that everybody is accepting them as they are in the authenticity. And when they are feeling, I'm accepted. Oh my God, I can be myself, and I'm accepted. It's all good. Then weaving into unity can be done easily, more easily. People are willing to go to unity if they are accepted, but they are very careful about this, and before they are not accepted, they won't.
What you are talking about, Bence, I enter here, it's precisely, which I love that from integral consciousness, which is the identity of the we space, which is beautiful. It's precisely to maintain individuality in the togetherness. It's not like in the green level of consciousness, which is I mingled and then I lose myself in the how we love each other, and I dissolve myself. No, in this integral consciousness is precisely to maintain the own consciousness and the own individuality as a being, and at the same time, you know, getting together with other and or others as well, and then be present in that, holding the space of the individual and the collective at the same time. So it's beautiful, and that was felt there very clearly through your process. So yeah, it was beautiful.
And there is one more aspect that we kind of changed the game about with this process in the integral world. That in the integral world there is a tendency to outcast all the lower levels, and I was condemned. I was, by some people, not many, but some, that you are ethnocentric. Why are you not doing a global conference? You are doing a European. So it's just Europe. So you guys are ethnocentric. You know, you're closing it down to Europeans. Whoa. Oh. So you have to understand that in Europe, even getting to European level from a country level, you know, it's already a big world-centric step. In our thinking, we are thinking globally. Oh, global, right away, global. All right. Get together with your fellow continental, you know, people, and arrive with your soul into unity. So we have to build, you know, larger and larger circle. We have to get there to get global, not to rush it. Get there gradually, you know. But when we get there, it's real. At least for those people who are involved in a particular gathering. And to be European is completely not played out in the soul movement level. It's not. It's just a mental concept. We don't know each other really. So we need time and space to come together, to tell our stories, you know, to see each other, become authentic in different nations, and to experience unity as human beings, universal soul, you know, behind the national differences. That's one thing. From a European perspective, this wasn't an ethnocentric thing, you know, but a growing care and compassion of a larger world-centric level. Two, at the ethnocentric part of ourselves is there, have been always there, and will be always there. It's only a problem when you make an exclusive identity with that, when you don't have anything else. When you stop at the ethnocentric level, then you say, you know, I'm Hungarian and get all the rest out of here, or I'm German and, you know, clean the country from the rest, or I'm Spanish and get out the non-Spanish here. You know, if you go beyond that, then you say, I am German, Hungarian, Spanish, I'm proud of that, you know, and I'm ashamed of that sometimes. But this is not the end of the game. So I connect with other nations. I love my neighbors. I love the distant nations. You know, I have a global heart. Me as Bence, I'm like that. I love nations. I have joy and love when I see the different, you know, nationalities, and just tingling in the body when I can interact. Still, you know, within this, I'm strongly moved emotionally by if my country is attacked or praised, you know, or so it's transcend and include. It's all within us, you see? And that's a more grounded globalness than the whitewash globalness that we deny, you know, our national roots, and we try to pretend that we have a rootless, you know, butterfly that is, you know, one with all without any difference. So multicolored unity grounded in where you are coming from, and enjoying and connecting in unity experiences with all the rest in the globe. That's kind of the ideal here.
I would like to jump in here. We are almost at the end of our transmission time. We can go a little further, because I would like to go, this is my personal interest, to go into the topic how you created the union of the European countries. As almost everybody knows, we don't have a common language. We have so different languages. And you used singing and
yes.
this is my big thing, you know. I was a singing teacher, so this for me was especially a surprise and wonderful how we went together singing in our own language songs, and you know, they mixed the language, that it was different languages was not so important anymore. The music was important, and even at the beginning it seemed dissonant, and out of the dissonance came a consonant, and we ended up at the end actually singing all the same song. It was not a very highly cultured song, but a song which everybody knew, and so we created the unity by singing this song, and there's such a wonderful development of the process. I really loved it.
Yes, well, yes, in the Universal Soul, obviously, we had to go beyond the language, because language sets difference, because different language. So when we say different languages, we experience difference. So at that point, first, I asked people to move around the room. So we dissolved the countries, and countries started to merge with others. So movement is universal, right? And I asked people to sing their national song. So a cacophony of different languages singing different songs that, you know, is an expression of their country. And then how I work, I give one impulse and then I let it go and just watch what's happening, you know, and let it open it up itself. Now that's the flow work, that you give an impulse and you don't control, you watch, you know, what's happening, and what emerges from people, the next instruction will facilitate that to come up and come out. And what happened, that somebody, I don't know whom, in that mass crowd, you know, started to sing a particular song that, you know, the song that became the emblematic song, and others picked it up. So it was not done by me or instructed by me. It came out from the crowd, you know, from the process. So I just had to facilitate. And then it was obvious that that's the song that most, you know, European countries, you know, like, and pick it up. So they started to sing in their own languages, and then I asked the people, I gave an instruction to the mic, now just hum it, you know, don't say the words anymore, just la la la, or hum it, you know, so drop off words, just the melody. And then the miracle happened. The whole crowd, without acceptance, you know, got that one melody, got one song, and sang it together like one. So then I understood that this is the hymn of this European crowd. You know, the hymn is not what we write, you know, officially, and then ask people to sing it because this is a hymn. The hymn is what comes out like this from a spontaneous process facilitation. Because what is a hymn? Hymn is the song, the melody, that everybody can agree that, wow, if we sing this, that we are in unity. So that was so beautiful.
Actually,
so you want to sing it?
Actually, it's very interesting, because when we talked before the conference, what could we create as a song for the conference? This particular song was one of the candidates, and then there was another one. It was nice.
Yes.
Yeah, but it was not the one we chose.
No, it was not, but it emerged out of the conference, you know, this one. So I think next time it will be that one, don't you think so?
Yeah, maybe we could write lyrics for this song, this Glocken. I don't know, what's the title of this song? It's mostly German.
Most people know it in the French version, Frère Jacques. It's something you learn in most countries in nursery, in primary school. So it's a very basic.
We learned in primary school too.
Frère Jacques,
Matine, din dan don.
We have a time lapse here, and we can't sing it together so well on this. But it was funny because we rejected it as being too simple, or for some mental reasons we rejected it. But then it came up, and turned out to be the right song. And I even like the words as they are. It's the words are very simple. It's Brother John or Frère Jacques. You know, it's a monk saying, "Wake up! Are you still asleep? You're supposed to ring the bells." You know, dormez-vous.
Very symbolic.
Slightly different in different languages, but in the French, which is most people know the French as well as their own language, it's Frère Jacques, brother Jacques, John, Hans, Jakob in German. Are you asleep? Dormez-vous. And then it's actually a positive injunction. Sonnez les matins.
And then it says the bells are ringing.
Yeah, and then the ding dong dong is the last. The bells are actually ringing, so you can hear the sound of Integral Europe or Cosmic Integral, whatever. I think it's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we now need to wrap up. Yeah. I would like to thank you, first of all, Bence, for being available for this talk and to explain a little bit how.
Inviting me.
Thank you very, very much, and my co-hosts, Raquel and Hanna, too, for this wonderful talk, which I hope allows people to a little bit intuit to understand what was happening in Budapest last May, and when we do the next conference, to come and meet us there, because it's so good, really so good. So thank you everybody who is listening or who will listen and watch in the future. This show was called The Feminine in Integral, and we will proceed with it doing the next show in 2 weeks from here and another one in 4 weeks from here. And we will talk about the quadrant still. We so far did the left-hand quadrant, for who knows the terminology, the Wilberese, and then we will go over into the right-hand quadrants and the objective view from objective perspectives. So if you watch the replay, please still leave your comments and your questions here, because we will monitor them and answer to you. So thank you very much, and stay tuned for the announcement of the next show. Thank you, all of you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.